Hello, so I wanted to make a tutorial on how to unlock a bootloader on a Samsung phone. This should work for most Samsung phones, so you can use this video as a reference. We're gonna go ahead and open the bootloader, install a custom recovery, install a custom ROM, and install Magisk. So that we can give root access to some apps that I'm just going to show off one, which is Attaway, but this should work for most apps that require root access. But anyway, what I have here is a Galaxy A52s. This phone is currently fully bootloader locked. It's on full stock, so this should be a good tutorial on what you need to do to unlock your bootloader and install custom stuff on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up the bootloader. So if we go to About Phone and Software Information, you should see here I'm on the latest software for this phone, the A52s. So what you're going to need to do is tap build number 7 times, and it'll tell you developer mode has been turned on. So after you do that, you go back 2 times, and if you scroll down, you should see developer options here now. And as you can see here, OEM unlocking is turned off. So what I'm gonna do is, turn it on. It'll tell you warning that the device protection features will not work. Well, if you're into custom ROMs, that shouldn't, as long as you know what you're doing, shouldn't be too bad. So we go ahead and enable it. Now, for some of you, it's possible that the whole phone is gonna reboot, and maybe you're gonna have to set up the phone again. So yeah, just a warning. Should have done this warning in the beginning, but let me give the warning out right now. You will lose your internal media if you decide to unlock your bootloader. So just keep that in mind. Photos, anything you have in your internal memory is going to be totally wiped out. But this should only happen once, which is when you unlock the bootloader. But anyway, with that aside, now that I have my OEM unlocking turned on from the developer options, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the phone. Of course, Bixby. Yeah. I'm going to turn it off. And once it's turned off, here's where it gets a little tricky. You're going to need to connect your phone to a PC. You will not be able to properly do this without a PC. So make sure you have a PC, you have Odin installed in it, and you have, well, not installed but downloaded, and that you have the Samsung developer drivers, which you should be able to find with just a Google search. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna boot my phone into download mode. The way you do this is with when your phone is completely turned off, you hold both volume buttons, and you connect your phone to the PC. Make sure it's connected to the PC. So let's see if I can do this without too much trouble. Okay, hold both volume buttons, connect the phone, and it should boot into a blue screen, and then you press and hold the volume up button. It'll tell you there that that's to unlock the bootloader, and it says right here, I know it's really dark, but it should say, if you unlock the bootloader, you will be able to install custom operating system. And it says right here, volume up if you want to unlock your bootloader, volume down if you do not want to unlock your bootloader. So I'm just going to go ahead and press volume up, and it should reboot. And it says you should get that error message that your bootloader has been unlocked. And what it's going to proceed to do is going to completely format the phone. This is necessary to start installing custom recovery and a custom ROM. But before we are able to start installing custom firmware, there's an extra step you need to do on Samsung phones, and that's you're gonna have to open developer options again and make sure that OEM unlock is turned on. It should always be turned on, but this is an extra step required. If you try to flash custom firmware right now, it won't let you. It'll still tell you that you know, only official binaries are allowed to be flashed. Blah blah blah. There's an extra step that you have to do on Samsung phones, unfortunately. But you know, I'm gonna pause the video right now, and we'll pick it up when the phone finally boots. Okay, so the phone has booted up. The bootloader is semi-unlocked. We still have to do one more step. So let me just change this to English so I can understand it a little better. Okay, so we're just gonna skip through most of this so that we can make sure that bootloader is unlocked. Now, the first thing I'm gonna do here is gonna connect to a Wi-Fi network. This is so that there won't be any problems when it comes to bootloader unlocking. So I highly suggest you connect to a Wi-Fi network when you're setting it up for in this step. Otherwise, you might not be able to see the OEM unlock in settings. So I'm just gonna put up my Wi-Fi password. Give me a sec. Okay. Ah, great. Hang on. Okay, so I successfully connected to my Wi-Fi network. Now we're just gonna wait for the phone to start up. I'm gonna go ahead and skip this. I'm gonna skip everything. I'm not gonna input any of my Google accounts or my Samsung accounts. So I'll continue this video when we're through that. Okay, so we got through the setup. Now we're gonna do the same thing to enable developer settings. So we're gonna go to build number 7 times. There we go. Now let's go to there. In developer options, OEM unlocking should be grayed. I know you probably can't tell in the video, but it's grayed out and it should be on. That means we're ready to flash some custom firmware finally. So yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the phone off, or you can do turn off or restart, either one works, and we're gonna reboot directly to download mode. So I'm gonna go ahead and press reboot. I'm gonna hold both volume buttons down so that it can go straight to download mode, and I'm gonna press the volume up button once, and it should be in downloading state. So we're ready to start flashing some firmware. So the first thing I'm gonna flash is going to be a custom recovery. Now for the custom recovery, you need 2 files, which is the actual recovery and patch VV meta. So I already have here my the recovery I'm gonna flash is Orange Fox, and you should receive a tar file to to flash, and it should have the custom recovery inside. And what I'm going to do here is in user data, I'm going to go ahead and flash the patched VV meta. This is so that you'll get a problem if you don't flash this. So that's how you proceed. A little thing now, what we're going to do here is since there's a script in stock ROM that will replace your recovery if you boot to system right away. So what I'm going to do right here is after I flash the custom recovery, I'm going to boot directly into, I'm not going to let the phone boot. I'm going to boot directly into the custom recovery so that it doesn't have time to replace the recovery with stock recovery. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and format the phone and install the custom ROM. So what you can do, there's an option here in Odin which auto reboots the phone once it finishes installing. So this is going to help us so that the phone doesn't automatically reboot to system. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start, and as you can see, it starts flashing the recovery and it's finished. Now because I unticked auto reboot, the phone hasn't rebooted yet, it's still in download mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to force a reboot, which is you hold the volume button down and the power button, and that should force it. And once the screen turns off, I'm going to let go of the buttons and press volume up and the power button, which is the key combination to boot into custom recovery. So I'm going to start that. And it's really important that you're connected to a PC. So otherwise it will not reboot to recovery. So just make sure that you're connected to a PC. So as you can see, the phone turned off. I was holding the volume up and the power buttons before it turned on. So there you go. It booted me to my custom recovery. And unfortunately, if you come from stock, your data is most likely and probably 100% it's encrypted. What encryption means is that you can't access it from your custom recovery, and that's going to be a problem when you want to flash any custom ROM, anything that has to access your data. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to, and whether this be Orange Fox or TWRP recovery, you're going to have to go to format data, and both custom recoveries should ask you to type yes to confirm. This is because this will delete your, as it says, videos, media, pictures, etc. So I'm going to go and put yes. And there you go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reboot to recovery so that it can mount data. I'm going to need it for my custom ROM. Most of the time it's not needed, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. It's good practice. So it's booting in Orange Fox again. And if you check here, there should not be any errors when it comes to if you had an encrypted data, it should say that it couldn't mount data, blah blah blah. But we were able to do that, so we should be good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and install a custom ROM. The custom ROM I'm installing is NcX. But before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and enter my display settings. Make sure that my timeout is off. There's a small bug that I've noticed when it comes to installing ROMs, is that sometimes when it takes too long and you let the screen sleep, it'll cancel out the ROM installation. So before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and copy over my my custom ROM to my phone. So I'm gonna go here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and paste it. I had a previous version, but I'm gonna go ahead and replace it. So we'll just wait for that to copy over to the micro SD card, and then we'll continue the video. Okay, so the ROM copied over. That should be good. Okay, now to install it, I'm just gonna locate it here. I'm installing the April firmware, so it's gonna start. Now this ROM in particular comes in two steps. First is gonna install the kernel, the super image, and it's gonna take a while, so I'm gonna pause the video and wait for the ROM to install first. But you know, if you don't want to install a ROM, I mean, you're pretty much done. I mean, you could have just booted to system once you formatted your data. Now, most Samsung devices will have a multi-disabler. This disabler will disable pretty much all Samsung security. Now, why you would do this is because it'll encrypt your data again. That's really negative when you're working with Samsung firmware. When you're installing something like Lineage or something like Pixel Experience, then you do want to have your data encrypted, because any custom recovery, any official custom recovery should be able to unencrypt your data. So if you're installing an AOSP, you know, Lineage, Pixel Experience, CR Droid, then you know that multi-disabler is not needed. But if you're gonna install or use Samsung firmware, then make sure you find a multi-disabler that works for your Samsung device. In this case, NcX ROM doesn't need it. It's already patched. So all of that Samsung security that you need to disable is not, you don't need to disable it here. So, you know, just make sure you have that, that step covered. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pause the video and resume when it's finished with the first step. Okay, so as you can see here, the installation script has now confirmed that step 1 is done, and it's asking me to press a volume button to continue, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. What it's going to do is going to reboot to recovery so that we can continue with step 2 on this particular ROM. If you're flashing Lineage or Pixel Experience, then it should be able to install it on with just one install. This one, unfortunately, since it's Samsung custom ROM with a whole bunch of options, we're gonna have to flash it again. So now, you know, I went ahead and flashed it. It's detecting that it's on step 2, and it's gonna start asking me, you know, do you want the default or the advanced installation? I'm gonna go ahead and select default, but you know, you can press volume down, and it's, you know what, let's just do that. Volume down. Okay, so it's asking me, do you want to add CSC features? This is call recording, the speed meter on status bar, a couple of features that get disabled depending on your region, but I'm gonna go ahead and select volume up to enable them. It says here, do you want ultra debloat? This will delete a few more apps. I'm gonna go ahead and say no, because there's some apps that I do use that get deleted with this. Do you want AOD to lock screen animations? I'm gonna go ahead and put yes. I'm gonna show this off in a bit. Do you want messaging apps, Samsung or Google? I use Google, but you know, let's just use Samsung for this. What type of blur would you like, live or static? Live blur is what Samsung uses in their flagships, and static blur is the default on A series, M series, all the mid and low end devices. I'm gonna go ahead and show off what live blur is. So I'm gonna press volume up to enable it. DeX standalone. This is so that you can activate DeX on your phone. Unfortunately, if you go with this option, it's gonna break DeX on PC. So you have to pick which one you want. Do you want to use it on just your phone screen, or do you want to use it, you know, on your laptop, your PC, or wirelessly? I'm gonna go ahead and disable this. I don't use it on my phone. I don't use it on PC either, but you know, if you want to use it on PC, then you're gonna have to select no to standalone. Do you want Samsung Free, Bixby, or AR stickers? Now there are some people that use this. I don't, so I'm gonna press volume down to disable it. Do you want custom boot animation SIP support? Now, for those of you who don't know, Samsung uses their own file type for boot animation, which is QMG, while most other phones use zips. I'm gonna go ahead and add the zip support so we can add custom boot animations, or if you don't want to, you just want to add it, or you just don't care, if you press down for now, it'll just bring up the Samsung boot animation. If you go yes, this ROM has its own boot animation. So okay, so the ROM is installed. You can go ahead and reboot to system if you want. I'm gonna first install a custom kernel. Custom kernels usually deliver better performance with you know, better battery saving features. If you're using an A52s, I highly recommend NcX kernel. So I'm gonna go ahead and flash this. After you install the ROM, you can check it out. You can check out the thread, Mesa's custom kernel in XDA. So yeah, after it finishes installing, I'm gonna go ahead and install Magisk so that I can give some apps, you know, root access. This is the app, but what you can do, what now newer versions of Magisk can do is that you can open them up as flashable zip, and it'll detect that you can flash this. Some people rename the APK to zip, and it should also work. If you are on TWRP, it should allow you to flash this as a zip anyway. If you're on Orange Fox, you just have to do one extra step, which is, you know, you press and hold and, you know, tell it to open it as a zip. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it's installing Magisk 25.2. There should be a newer version. You could go ahead and use that. I've been using this forever now, so it hasn't given me any problems. There's no reason for me to change or update it anyway. So, and after it's finished installing, I will finally reboot to system, and there we go. I should now have a functioning phone with a custom recovery, custom ROM, and Magisk installed. Unfortunately, I know some of you have always wanted to remove that warning. Unfortunately, it's not possible on Snapdragon devices. So yeah, Exynos devices and I believe MediaTek devices should be able to patch that out, but you know, us with Snapdragon, we're not able to. Those images on Snapdragon devices are located in an important bootloader file that you can't really access. If you modify it, the phone won't allow you to flash over it, even if you open the bootloader. So unfortunately, that's not something we're gonna be able to patch out anytime soon. But yeah, my phone is finally booting up. It should take about 5 to 10 minutes, but you know, that's how you fully unlock Bootloader. That's how you install a custom recovery, install a custom ROM, install Magisk. So I'm just gonna wait for it to boot up and show off some of the, oh, well, it's already booted up. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and skip most of this. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this in English. I'm not from the US, but whatever. Gonna skip mobile network and end user agreement and privacy policy. I'm gonna skip this. Yeah, skip. I'm gonna skip most of this. Accept, skip anyway. Skip. Yes, I'm gonna skip everything. You can select whatever you want. Just gonna go ahead and keep the light theme, and there we go. I now have a custom ROM. This one is heavily debloated. It doesn't have a lot of bloatware. This ROM in particular does have some Samsung apps. That's because, you know, I made it. I like using some Samsung apps, so I'm gonna keep them. So yeah, let me show off a little bit what live blur is. This is another question I get constantly. So usually when with static blur, you don't have any movement in the background. So for example, you would pull this down and everything would get static. You will not see any movement in the background. But with live blur, you know, you can move this a little bit, and you should be able to notice that, you know, you're getting some movement. I know it's not really possible to see through me video recording. It's more visible when you're watching a video and you get a notification. You pull the notification bar down and you see that, you know, the video is actually playing in the background. Something that's not possible unless you have a flagship. And the other thing I wanted to show off is the animation that's called clock screen animation. So what we're gonna do is gonna go to the always on display options. Right now it's set to tap to show, but if you select show always, there, that's the animation that flagships have that the A series doesn't usually have. And I think it's even cooler when you select a different type of clock, and you could see it animates itself to the lock screen clock. So that's pretty cool. Fortunately, this gets a little bug if you set up fingerprint. There is a workaround for this that you'll have to look up on XDA, but you know, that's one of the small features that I like in this case. So that's pretty much it. I now have the latest NcX ROM. Everything should be working. My Wi-Fi is working. My Bluetooth should be working. And there you have it. Thank you guys. Goodbye.